For this screencast, we're going to look at number 3 in the assignment and talk about bivariate correlations. Remember, you have an hypothesis and you're going to ultimately tell us if your hypothesis is correct or not. And one way you'll know if your hypothesis is correct or not is by the correlation that the independent variable in your hypothesis has with your dependent variable. But in the bivariate correlation part, you're going to talk about how every other variable in your survey is related to your specific dependent variable. So in the handout number 1, now your correlation box will look much bigger because you will have 8 or 9 variables there. I just have 5 here. All you want to worry about is this top row, the Pearson correlation, this top row. I will arrange things so that your dependent variable is the first one listed. Now you want to ignore the first column because this 1 is the relationship between the dependent variable and itself. So we can just ignore that. Now correlations vary from -1 to +1, but you don't need to worry about the actual value of the number, just the sign and the significance. If there is at least 1 asterisk, that means that the variables in question have a significant correlation. For example, this asterisk here tells us that a person's age is significantly related to how much the person got drunk. Over here, conversely, this tells us that the drinking behavior of a person's peers is significantly related to how often a person got drunk. So one thing you want to first look at is there at least 1 asterisk? I don't care if there's 1, 2, or 3. What you would do for variables that don't have an asterisk, let's pretend, for example, that these 2 variables here have no asterisks. Just pretend. What you would say is that a person's sex and age have no significant association with how often the person got drunk. You have to put the word significant in there because there's always going to be some kind of association, but is it significant? Does it make a significant difference? And so for everything that has no asterisk, get that out of the way. Tell us what doesn't make a significant difference. Everything with an asterisk, or 2 or 3 asterisks, you'll need to explain what the association is. Since all of these have asterisks, let's talk about what they mean. So here is a positive number, right? These 2 right here, and these are negative. What this means, again, all you're worrying about here is the sign. What that means is, remember, people answered your survey. So as this variable increases in value, so does this variable. That's what this positive number means. As this goes up, this goes up. Well, what does that mean? Let's look at the correlations. Here's some slides I put up there on Blackboard for you. So here's just some data I made up. Let's look at these 2 variables here. So what do you notice about the relationship between happiness and smoking? Now, back in slide 2, I give you the code book here, the scales, if you will. So for the happiness scale, a high value means you're very happy. A low value means you're not. For smoking, a low value means you strongly agree with the statement that you enjoy smoking. So here, a low value means you enjoy smoking. A high value means you disagree with the statement or you don't enjoy smoking. So look at the pattern here. Here's a higher number, lower number. Again, each row represents a person in your survey. Here is a number that's not too high, but here it's lower. Here is a 6 and a 1, an 8 and a 5, a 10 and a 4. So what do you notice about the relationship between happiness and smoking? So if you look at the higher numbers in the happiness, so here's a higher number, here's a higher number, here's a higher number. Well, look over here at the smoking. Okay, so I have a 4, a 5, and a 4. If you look at the lower numbers in the happiness scale, a 5, a 6, a 4, you notice that the smoking numbers are lower. So in other words, the higher values in the happiness are associated with higher values in smoking, because again, smoking is coded 1 to 5, whereas lower values in the happiness variable are related to lower numbers in the smoking variable. So this would be a positive correlation. Higher numbers here are related to higher numbers here, and lower numbers here are related to lower numbers there. Now, again, in this case, this is measured on a scale of 1 to 10. So 8, 9, and 10 are the higher numbers. This is measured on a scale of 1 to 5, so 4 and 5 are the higher numbers. So this is a positive correlation. High values here equate to high values here. Well, what does that mean to be a high value here or a high value here? Let's go back to the coding. A high value in happiness means you're happy. A high value here in smoking means you don't enjoy smoking. So a high value here is related to a high value here, or the happier you are, the less you enjoy smoking. D meaning disagree, ST meaning disagree. So if people were given the statement, I enjoy smoking, what do you think about that statement? You can strongly agree with it, or agree, or be neutral. You can disagree or strongly disagree. So because this is a positive correlation, high values here are related to higher values here, that means that people who are happier don't enjoy smoking. Let's go back to the handout here. This is a positive number. So again, if you can imagine the numbers in the data file, numbers that were higher here were also for each person, numbers that were higher here for each case also had higher numbers here. So if I surveyed people, the trends I would find is that if they were higher here, higher numerically speaking, they'd be higher here numerically speaking. Well, again, what does that mean, higher numerically? Let's go back up and look at the coding. For delinquency variables, whether it's your own drinking or your friend's drinking, look at the coding. They're coded the same. So for, again, a high value for the getting drunk variables, a high value means you frequently did. I asked students if how often they got drunk and how often their friends got drunk. And if they said frequently, then I coded that as a 4. If they said occasionally, I coded that as a 3, and so on. So again, if you go back down here, what this positive number is saying is the more your friends get drunk, the more you got drunk. How do I know that? Again, this is a positive value, right? And so higher values for this variable are related to higher values for that variable. So here's the actual data set. Now this file isn't available to you, but let me just show it to you quickly. For the correlation right here, let me show you the data file. So if you look again, each row is a case. So we're looking at the relationship between how often your peers got drunk, how often you got drunk. Remember, it's coded on a scale of 1 to 4, as we see right here. Both those variables are coded 1 to 4. So what do we notice about the first case, for example? So what did this person say, person 1? This person said, I never got drunk. And when asked about friends, my friends never got drunk. If you look at, say, any of these other ones, again, the pattern isn't going to be perfect, but what you're going to tend to find is the higher the number here, the higher the number here. You know, for example, right here, case 7, this person said that, let's go back to coding, 3 is occasionally. This person here, row 7, this person said that my friends got drunk occasionally, and I got drunk occasionally. And so if you went through, I have 178 cases. If you went through and looked at all possible pairs, so here's what one person said about peers and herself. Here's what someone said about herself and peers, and so on and so on. If you went through and looked at all the cases, you would find that higher numbers here tended to be associated with higher numbers here. And you just go back and look at the coding. What's a higher number? Frequently. So the way we would interpret this number here is the more your friends got drunk, the more you got drunk.